Hello, this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts. Today with another little video inspired by Jo Rice. I've had this idea months ago. She made a little mini book, I think she called it a mini book of spells, and she used the little bottle stamps and created a 3-panel little book that I think she stamped it from both sides. And that gave me the idea for this project. Ever since I was a child, I was inspired by the postcard Leporellos that you could get on holiday. These are the postcards that are sort of attached to each other and you can just unfold them. And when I saw Jo Rice's video, I thought it would be nice to have these folded up pictures in a little book casing. So that's what we're going to do today. I have figured it out on paper. I have not created it yet. I've just started ahead and checked out the measurements that I think would work in my head. So for the actual picture book, I'm using a medium weight cardstock. This is actually just 220 or 230 because you want to fold it. I think it's best not to have a too heavyweight cardstock. And this strip is 10 3/4 by 2.5. Let me just zoom in just a little bit so you can see the measurements there. And you score this panel at 1 3/4, 3.5, 5 1/4, 7, 8 3/4, and 10.5. This gives you 6 equally sized panels, which are all 1 3/4, and a little flap, which I think will be useful when it comes to creating a cover, which I haven't done yet, actually thinking about it. And then with a heavier weight cardstock, you're creating the outside of the book. This is a piece that's 4.5 by 2 3/4. This, by the way, says 300 GSM. And you just score this at 2 and 2.5. And then my idea was, rather than to have these sheets loose in the book, which you can have, I wanted to have a little casing that this keeps in place. And for that, I have created a panel that is 2 5/8 in height and 4 1/8, because we need this to be a little bit bigger in the end than the panels here. And we're going to score this now at 3/8 and 3/4 on 3 sides, which is the, if you lay it this way around, on the top and the bottom and on one of the sides. So got my scoreboard here just to show you that, how we create that. So, and not 3/4. Sorry about that. What am I doing wrong here in my brain? No, it is, sorry, 3/8. I've got these the wrong way around. So it's 3/8 and 3/4. So there's my 3/8 and there's my 3/4. So you've got 2 equal panels there. If you have your book higher than I'm going to have it, you will have to adjust these panels, obviously. So I'm just doing that on this side now, 3/8 and 3/4. So I've got my little cheat sheet here. We need to cut this now, and we're cutting these 3 squares away, and just cut away the score line as well. So I'm just tidying this one up a little bit. And then this one creates a flap. It doesn't matter, you can either leave it on the edge here, but I'm going to leave it on this panel. So I'm cutting here and there, and then I'm cutting a few wedges off on either side to create this little flap. So we're left with this. So I'm not folding anything just yet because I want to ink up all these pieces. So I'm just putting my scoreboard away and get my ink blending brushes and my inks ready. So it's about 6 hours later. I continued the project, I made it, I filmed it all, and then I thought, no, I'm not really happy with what I have created. And I'll show you what the finished product looked like. I had wanted it to look a bit like a children's book, and I stamped in colours. I came in with a marker, did a few extras, and it is cute, but I don't particularly like it. And I don't like the fact that where I've glued it down, it actually stands out a bit too much, so it doesn't fold flat. And I also thought it would actually be good if I had a strip that was twice as long to make full use of the height of the inside box. So I thought I'd just make this again. And this time I won't use these insects. Just quickly show you, my idea was that it was Jiminy's birthday party and all the insects come and bring something to the party, which is cute. I will not put this in the bin. Maybe I've got somebody to give this to, but it is not really 100%. So rather than filming the intro once again and repeating myself and forgetting what I've already said and what I haven't, I thought I'll leave the intro as it is, but continue from there. So I have cut a second long panel, but this one is a quarter shorter. So this one's just 10.5 by 2.5 inches because I only need a flap on one of these just to put them together. And I've already started and put ink down on both sides because you can see the back. You don't have to do that. You could use coloured cardstock if you want to do it quickly, but I decided to do that. So for this, I have got these bigger brushes from Craft Stash, and they are great if you want to quickly ink up a bigger panel. I find these very smooth. I've only got 4 of these. I'm keeping this one here for the blues. I think I've got one for greens, and I don't even think I've used the other ones yet, but I think they're very useful. By the way, if you don't want these score lines to show as such, you could ink blend on the panel first and then do the scoring. I don't mind, but obviously this shows now. Made a bit of a mess there, but it doesn't matter because we're going to a stencil over that. So I just wanted to show you how quickly you can put ink down with these brushes. They're really soft and really nice, and they come with these containers. And never, though, entice you to buy things. I'm just showing you what I'm using. This is not necessary at all to create this. So, one of the stencils I've used for the other little book is this one here. I'll link to it below. I can't remember what it's called. Until a week ago, I didn't know I had it. I'd bought it, not used it, I think. Maybe I had, because it was out of its packaging, and I found it in a box at the bottom. So now I thought I will use it, and then I remember that I have it. Oh, by the way, the ink I'm using is the Elements Blue Lagoon, and I will use the same ink to go over this now to keep it tone on tone, because I don't want the background to be too busy. So I'm just showing this to you just for part of it, and the rest I do off camera again. So I'm just holding the stencil down a little bit, and then using this smaller brush. You can use one of the Lavinia stencil brushes as well, something like this, but I quite like these. So, and then you create basically a pattern like this, which is sort of tone on tone and not too busy. All depends on your color scheme. I didn't want the background to be too dark, but I really like this. And I think with this stencil it's quite easy as well to put another layer on here without making it too obvious. Or I might do that, stop at the score line and then attach it there. So I quickly do this off camera because I'm doing this on both panels on both sides. So I've inked these panels up on both sides, and I've also done this one bit but without the ink blending underneath. I just did some stenciling on this, and I'm not too bothered about the middle bit, but I definitely need both sides because I had some gaps on the other one. So for the outer book, I already showed you this. It's so 4.5 by 2 3/4, and I told you to score at 2 and 2.5. But I found afterwards, to get a nice spine, it's actually better to score in between the 2 and the 2.5 as well. So I will score here at 2 1/8, 2 1/4, and make sure this doesn't slip now, and then 2 3/8, and that gives me a nice spine, and that is more flexible afterwards, and I can actually round that a little bit if I wanted to, and bend it a little bit like this if I need it to be a little bit lower, and it's just more pliable if I do this now. So I'm going to do the same sort of stenciling as I've done on here, on this one here, different colour scheme, probably another blue but a bit darker, and I think I will use a different stencil. One thing I forgot before I do that is use my corner rounder here. This is from We Are Memory Keepers for all the corners. I find that gives a nice look for the outside of the book. So that's better to do that beforehand. Otherwise, I have maybe some ink on the corners, but then on the edges, but then the corners might show the white core again. So it's better to do this before I do the inking. So I wasn't very adventurous. I just chose a different blue. This is the blue Atoll, which is a bit more of a turquoise colour, to show that in comparison. But I didn't want to go OTT, I think, with this. I have a little bit of a speck down here. I might have put my fingernails in the ink pad, so that's definitely going on the inside, and then I can use this on the outside. Little tip, this is a directional pattern because it's obviously going upwards, so I made sure that I've got the same direction on the inside and the outside. With the other one it didn't matter too much. So I can now start with a stamping. I'm leaving this to dry because this is still a bit damp, and again with these I chose which ones I want to. Again, I've got a little speck there of colour, so this will definitely go on the front, and this one doesn't matter really. So, and I won't attach this to the flap yet, because if I want to stamp on this I want to make sure nothing's hindering my stamps. And I think this is a bit of an experience from the little book I made before. I think I will use my stamping platform for that, because if I need to re-stamp it, that makes it so much easier. So for this little book I have got 12 of these panels. So I thought I stamped one animal per panel, and I looked at the mice here, and 3 of them are facing to the left and 3 of them are facing to the right, and I like to have the ones that are facing to the left come in from the right. I've also got these 3 woodland mice. They would work, but they're all facing the same way. And at first I thought, like with this book, they should come to somebody's party, but then I remembered that I bought the fairy shops 1 and 2, and I thought, wouldn't it be funny if they, instead to a party, went to the local pub. I actually bought these stamps with the plan to actually cover these the names of the shops here. This is Bows and Buttons, Fairy Lights, I think this one says trinkets, wands and wishes. So cover them and give them my own name. For example, the cross keys in like my own pub. And so I thought this would be really good, and I'm lucky because the panels actually, or this actually fits onto the panels. I'm not so sure how well it stamps over the score line, but if I pick the edge of the house there, I think I get away with it. So I have to count now how many panels I need to the right hand side of this and how many to the left, and whether I want to stamp both of these fairy shops or whether I just stamp one. I quickly figure this out off camera. So I have decided the panels that I don't really know how to fill on the edges, I'm just using these, I think it's called the Christmas tree group. I'll link to all the stamps below. So I've aligned this one here. I'm starting with a shop and picking that up here. I'll just quickly show you how you can alter the look of that. Let me just pop something white underneath so you can see what I'm doing. So I could either put some masking tape on top and then peel that off, or just some other tape. I've done that before, but it's very fiddly, this. So what I've got here is I have got a cotton bud, and I can actually take the ink of this one here. I should have actually used this one here. I think this will be the pub, or do the whole length of it. If you take too much off, I'm not too bothered, because the lines of the signs I can come in again. And just, no, I can't do, I'm getting too close now, otherwise I would have stamped it up a little bit on the edge. But I can just draw the lines again if I need to. So I can stamp this on here now. As always, give it enough time to rest on the paper. I've got, by the way, I've got a little bit of, oh sorry, going off camera there. I've got a double layer of just ordinary sort of craft paper it is, just to give it a bit of a cushion. So I'm going to pick it up now. Don't know how well the camera picks that up. Let me just zoom in. I don't want to lift the whole thing up. Basically have omitted the sign. As I said, I will just use a fine line or even a biro to basically draw my own in, and then I can add the frame again. So also off camera now, I will colour this all in. I will probably, you know, because I've got the background there, I don't want to use anything that is water soluble, so I'll probably use a few crayons or my watercolour pencils without the water. I'll have a look and I'll let you know afterwards. And I will also do all the stamping. So my mice, I don't need to show you this really. I will all do it in the stamping platform, except for maybe some little stamps. I've got the musical notes here. I can easily use an acrylic block for that. So just one little tip though, when you stamp the panel that's got the flap, make sure the flap faces this side here, because this is where you will attach it to this panel here. That's all you need to know, I think. So I shall do this off camera, try to keep this video short, and then I'll show you how we continue. So as I said, I did some very basic colouring. I used my Black Widow pencils. I've got this box here and I've got the Scorpion box, which gives me a good range of colours, but I've only used beige and browns and 2 different reds and the green for the trees. And I actually rushed the job a little bit because I'm due to get ready for work in about 10 minutes. I just wanted to show you this before I glue this together. In hindsight, I should have done it a little bit differently, but I stamped this on here, the house, and then I thought, well, this is on the flap, that's going to disappear anyway, so I thought I might just as well stamp the other half on this side. And I masked the tower building. Let me just show you this. I masked this one off, but I got this all wrong because obviously it disappears on the flap, so that's the reason why I actually just coloured in the whole house in brown, so it won't be that obvious. I then used my little fine liner. I said that before, I don't know where I got this one. It's really, really useful. It's just 0.38 the tip. It's really very handy. So I've got here now a Yummy Cakes shop. This one is my pub, Cross Keys Inn. And I thought, why not have next door my craft business, Cross Keys Crafts, which obviously is not a shop, but I wish, maybe one day. So, and then I stamped a few of the musical notes. I didn't want to overdo it, and I also coloured the lamp a little bit in. This one, I stamped all the mice twice. This one gave a little bit of double stamping here, a little bit here, because sometimes the stamps stick to the paper and then they move a slight little bit, but it doesn't matter. So I'm going to glue this now onto this flap next to the score line so that I can still, oh, one thing I've forgotten, I still haven't folded and burnished these. So you need a mountain fold, is it right? Nope, a valley fold, mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, that way. And the same here, mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, is that right? I hope I've got this right now and haven't done. If I find I've got one panel too many, I can always cut this one off here. I'll find that out in a moment when I've glued this together. So as I said, I need to put glue on this panel after I've burnished them all, and then I will just glue this next to the score line. And the other thing I need to do is glue this together. In the bit I'm leaving in the footage, I showed you how to fold it outwards, but I think because I've inked up both sides now, I can fold this inwards, so I'll have the flaps on the inside and these panels fold on the inside. Then that will even look neater on the outside. So I quickly do this off camera, figure that out, and then I think we're nearly done. Good news is I counted correctly, so we've got a valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, where you attach the two pieces, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley. So this is all okay. So I've just used my Cosmic Shimmer glue to glue these together. Make sure you've always got enough on the edges so it doesn't come undone there. Same here. Make sure you've got plenty of glue, and I actually used my bone folder to press it down and remove any excess of glue I had there. So it's actually still a bit damp, but I think I get away with that. With this one here, I burnished. Oh, by the way, you need to burnish these all properly so that they fold up really nicely. With this one, I just burnished the two outer ones, the 2" and was it 2.5. The other score lines, I just folded them and pinched them with my fingers so that I've now got a very flexible middle piece there. So I can now glue this box into the lid. I'm just using my quick grab glue again. Again, making sure I've got plenty on the outside, but not too much that it oozes out. So, and then make sure you've got this the right way around. And I need to be mindful now where I've got that score line, and I want to put this next to the score line. The good thing is with the wet glue, let me just zoom in a little bit, you've got a bit of wiggle room, so I need to make sure it doesn't go over the corners and it's even on all sides. When you're happy with that, you can just stick this down. And again, I'm using my bone folder to press it down. Always helps to adhere it, and also it gets rid of some lumps in the cards, in the glue if you got any. So now we can put this panel inside. This will just get stuck down right there. No, I tell you what, I did that in the other one. Oh, sorry if I'm going off camera. I will move it just a little bit away, just a slither away from that edge, because I do not want to have the pages get caught in there. So I'm just contemplating whether I want the wet glue before I use some double-sided adhesive, because this can get a bit lumpy, but I'm risking it. Sorry, I'm going off camera again because I've zoomed in so much. So the only thing I need to do with this is when I've stuck it down, I need to use my bone folder to move the glue around. So best doing it from this side and making sure it's straight as well. And as I said, leaving a slither away from the edge there, but not to get too close to the other edge. I need to move it out again a little bit. So you can use your collal glue if you want a little bit more wiggle room. Yeah, I think that'll do. So as I said, I'm pressing this down thoroughly so I wouldn't have any bumps. So, and now I can fold this up into the little casing, and then this one, and this is where I went wrong in the other book, I need to stick it down so that this folds properly, and so I'm not quite sure yet how to do that. I think I just need to watch where it naturally falls. So, because you've got a bit of, if you check the other side, you've got a bit of an edge there. Or one thing I could do is just close it up and see where it naturally ends up. I'll tell you how I do this quickly. Just using my removable tape. Let me just zoom out now. I'm just sticking this on here and see what happens when I fold this shut, and maybe then mark it. So what I want is an even edge there. I want this to overhang a little bit here, as it naturally would, although this it gets a bit bulky on the outside. So, and then that gives me an idea, can you see? So this is what I want. So about this far, and obviously same distance top and bottom. So I'm just going for this now. I'm definitely going for the quick wrap glue, because if I did it with a collal it would probably move too much. So about here. Oh, making sure it doesn't get too close to the score line, which it is. I think I move it over to the front just a little bit. Oh, it doesn't want to move anymore. Just a little bit. So again, I'm just pressing this down with my bone folder. I can feel a few lumps, but I think it's okay. So I still need to figure out a closure, I think, because this wants to pop open now, but I think this is really cute. And if you want to have a closer look, obviously you can take these out. So I need to get ready for work, but I do own little magnets, so I'm thinking about either creating a closure tomorrow with that magnet, or just creating a little belly band. And then I've got this little picture book of the mice going into town for a pint, some crafts, and definitely some cake. Yeah, I'm really pleased with this now. As I said, the first version, didn't like it too much. I like the idea of it, I like the design, but not the pictures. I think they're a bit too childish after all. So yeah, but if you like this little project and might want to have a go yourself, you might want to give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of what I'm creating, you might want to subscribe to my channel. I'd be very happy about that. And I'll see you soon with another video. It is the next day, and I thought I'd just show you the two closures for the two books that I was talking about. I did mention a belly band yesterday, and I thought maybe some of you don't know what that is, and I'll show you quickly how to create this. I have just used some of my scraps. This is, yeah, cut off. This is the, I think it's the thinner one, which is the 230 GSM. And I've just ink blended and stenciled on one side. The other one I've just ink blended on very faintly, just with the residue of my brush. And I thought I'd use that for the first book. And what you do is you don't score anything. You just lay your project, it could be your card, or in this case the book, down. And then you just fold the paper around it fairly loosely. You don't want it to be too tight. You can pinch it a little bit, but ideally you don't score it. And I want to cut this off a little bit over the middle. Oh, yeah, my proper scissors. Those are my glue scissors, glue tape scissors. So just about here. I haven't measured this beforehand, so ideally your strip is longer than you actually need. So it's actually easier if I pick it up. So I'm folding this side over as well, and as I said, I want to have this overlap in the middle for about, I don't know, just under ½ an inch. So I can see this here now. Just cutting this straight as well. So, and now that I've sort of loosely folded it, I can pinch it a little bit more, but I don't want to pinch it too much. This might not even be so good. So, and now I need my glue, and ideally you pick a quick grab glue. Also just noticing this is a bit wider. I must have measured a bit wrong, but it doesn't matter because we're going to put a topper over it. So I'm just putting a bit of my glue down, making sure I don't need too much in the middle, sorry, on the edges there, because I don't want this to ooze out. And I'll just pop this on the top and leave it to sit for a moment, pressing this down. Once I've done that, I can actually slide it off carefully. Try not to move it, and then I can press it down. And when that is properly adhered, I can put a topper on the front, and I've just die cut this little circle and put the title of the book on here, which is Jiminy's Birthday Party. So I'm just covering this seam here with a topper. You could put that on foam tape if you wanted to. I'll try to get it in the middle and straight. Could have put a bit more glue on the side there. Maybe on this side as well. Oh, by the way, the circle die cut also used my brush just to go around the side, so it's not too harsh. So I'm leaving that to dry for a moment, and then I'll show you the closure I have planned for this. I've never done this before. My idea is to have this strip here on the back, fold it round like this. I might probably need to put a bit more on the edge to have a little bit more here, and then just have this little strip, oops, going across here to hold it in place. So I'm just telling you the measurements of this one here. This is ½ an inch by 2 inches, and this one here is just under 1½ inches by just 1/4, or even under 1/4. So I think what I will do, yeah, I'll stick this one on first on the back. I only need a little bit. You can use some tape as well if you wanted to. I find the quick grab glue is not too bad. Oh, and I've rounded this off here. So I'm just thinking whether I need a little bit more. So that goes on the back in the middle. Pressing it down, and I'm not touching it for now. Just leaving that to dry for a minute. So in the meantime, this should be dry enough, so I can just slide this onto the book. Make sure I'm not catching the corners. And then this stays shut. I think that's really cute and looks very nice. So Try not to be too impatient with this. So with this one, again, I'm folding it round. I don't want this to be scored. You could score this one, but I really don't want that. So I'm just pinching it a little bit, and then I know where to stick this down. So I need to put glue. I need to cut this as well a little bit. You can see now how much I need to cut it. So we don't need too much excess. And I think the other thing I will do, just to make it look a bit neater, it's too small to use for my corner rounder, but I can just snip the corners off a little bit. I think this will look a little bit nicer. This one's not even straight. So I'm just testing again. So I think I will put it towards the edge here so that it closes shut and this is pushed through, but it's easy to pull it out as well. So I just need a little bit of glue on the top and the bottom. And the reason why I'm not using, this is almost too much, why I'm not using the tape is I sometimes struggle with tape in its little pieces. But if you've got like some glue dots, you could probably use those. So I'm just moving the glue I had, excess glue I had on there, just moving that onto this side with a silicone tool. And that should probably be enough. Very fiddly, so I'm using my tweezers to balance this. So, and also make sure the glue doesn't catch the whatever you call this thing here. So I'm just pressing this down now. I can take this one out now. Having said that, no, I'll leave it in. I'll tell you why, because I don't want this to be too flat. So as long as I can press it down properly, it should be fine. So I can open this up now like this, and should be able to pop it back underneath. Yeah, I'm pleased with this. I could have decorated it a little bit if I wanted to, adjusted some ink blending on that, which looks a bit harsh white on the camera, but it's not. Yeah, I'm just thinking whether I had that the way around. Oh yeah, I think with this one here I didn't do any ink blending underneath. I think I just did the stenciling. But yeah, I think this is cute. And I've got my 2 books here. I thought I'd just pop in to show you this.